If you're planning an Alaska cruise, stop for a minute. There are a handful of decisions you're about to make that could either elevate your trip or quietly cost you thousands of dollars. And after 7 Alaska cruises, we know exactly which choices matter and which ones don't. So in this video, we will walk you through what you really need to know before you book an Alaska cruise. Stick around as we reveal one mistake that catches almost everyone off guard that could completely ruin your trip before you even leave, up next. Welcome aboard. I'm Don B from Eat, Sleep, Cruise. And after cruising to Alaska for over a decade, across different cruise lines, itineraries, and seasons, of course, the question everyone asks us is, what's the best cruise line for Alaska? And here's the honest answer. There isn't one. The reality is, almost all major cruise lines sail to the region. So if you're already loyal to a particular brand, you can probably find a ship offering an itinerary that suits you. But if you're new to cruising, it can feel overwhelming trying to decide between lines and ships. Several lines claim they are the best in Alaska, but honestly, there's no one best Alaska cruise line or cruise ship. It really depends on your travel party. What do you want to see and do? What ship amenities are important to you? Brands like Norwegian Cruise Line, Royal Caribbean tend to offer more diversity for multi-generational families. Carnival and Disney are also popular choices for family cruises to Alaska. Couples may want to consider Princess Cruises, Celebrity Cruises, or Holland America Line. Princess and Holland America have been sailing in Alaska the longest and generally have the most ships in the region. And there are luxury cruises and expedition cruise ships, some with fewer than 100 passengers, offering a completely unique experience focused more heavily on immersion and remote access. While there might not be just one best cruise line or cruise ship, not all cruise ships in Alaska are created equal. So there are several features and amenities we suggest you look for when reviewing those deck plans. Perhaps the most important factor to consider are public viewing areas. Since Alaska is all about the scenery, the availability of these spaces could significantly impact your experience. Some ships boast multiple outdoor platforms or decks that give cruisers ideal views of the scenery. These open air spaces are perfect for photography, wildlife spotting, and experiencing the crisp Alaska air during glacier viewing. Other ships have enclosed spaces and observation lounges that offer panoramic views through floor-to-ceiling windows while keeping you warm and comfortable. The best Alaska cruise ships have both options, so you can move in between indoor and outdoor areas depending on the weather and your comfort level. So review those ship deck plans to identify viewing spaces and check out Alaska cruise reviews to see if they mention these areas. And of course, we have cruise reviews of several ships right here on the channel, as well as a detailed look at our top picks for the best cruise ships and itineraries of the year, and we'll link to all these videos down in the description. Along with prime viewing areas, you should also research other amenities on the ships that might interest you and your family. An enclosed or indoor pool is particularly valuable in Alaska, where outdoor temperatures rarely invite traditional poolside lounging. Likewise, thermal suites and spa facilities with heated lounges overlooking the scenery provide the perfect spot to relax while still taking in the views. For families, view centers become important when kids need a break from sightseeing. Some kids programs will also offer age-appropriate Alaska activities. Each cruise line and ship has distinct offerings for restaurants, entertainment, and onboard activities that can enhance your experience. Some lines feature Broadway caliber shows, while others focus on intimate live music. And certain ships even offer unique Alaska experiences like Princess's Puppies in the Piazza. However, there is a trap that some cruisers fall into, thinking that newer ships equal a better experience in Alaska. While newer ships often boast impressive amenities and new technology, those features may matter far less in Alaska than on Caribbean sailings. In fact, some older vessels actually provide superior Alaska experiences because they go to more ports of call or they're allowed to spend more time at different destinations. Don't forget, the destination is the star in Alaska, not necessarily the ship. Along with offering some of those amenities like observation lounges or indoor pools, older ships also typically cost less. So those savings can fund spectacular shore excursions and experiences that will create far more lasting memories than any shipboard amenity. The next decision that quietly shapes your entire Alaska cruise is your departure port. Your embarkation city impacts logistics, costs, scenery, and even documentation. Most people don't fully think this through before booking. There are 4 main embarkation cities: Seattle, Vancouver, Seward, and Whittier. Each offers different advantages. Seattle is usually the most convenient option for most Americans. It offers abundant domestic flight options, often at lower prices. And if you're a US citizen sailing round trip from Seattle, technically don't need a passport, although we'll touch on that a little bit later in this video, because regardless of which port you choose, we strongly recommend you bring one. The trade-off is that ships departing from Seattle must cross some open water before reaching Alaska's protected inside passage. Vancouver, on the other hand, offers the most scenic departure. Ships enter the inside passage almost immediately. The city itself is spectacular and absolutely worth exploring pre-cruise. However, all passengers need passports for Vancouver departures, and flights, especially those from the eastern US, can be more expensive with fewer direct flight options. Seward and Whittier, which are typically used for one-way itineraries, both require flying into Anchorage and then traveling a few hours to reach the port. That often means higher airfare, longer travel days, and additional ground transportation. So before you book, consider your home location, total travel time, passport requirements, and how important that scenic inside passage sailing is to you. Taking an Alaska cruise is really about the destination, so perhaps the most important thing you need to decide is the itinerary. You basically have two main options. One-way cruises begin and end at different ports, or round-trip cruises that begin and end at the same home port. We've sailed both types of itineraries, and there are pros and cons of each, so decide what is more important to you and review itineraries closely. Round-trip cruises typically depart from Seattle or Vancouver and are usually 7 days in length. They're easier to plan, offer more friendly ships, and simplify airfare since you're flying in and out of the same city. But because they must return to their starting point, they can't travel as far north and may visit fewer destinations or have shorter port of call times. One-way cruises, on the other hand, usually sail between Vancouver and Seward or Whittier. These itineraries often visit additional ports and can include more scenic cruising opportunities. But between airfare costs and additional travel days, these cruises can cost more money and be more difficult to plan. And these one-way sailings tend to be on older and smaller ships. Odds are you're going to Alaska to see some glaciers, and depending on the itinerary you pick, most cruise ships will offer scenic cruising at least one day. And there are a variety of glaciers that ships can visit during the sailing. Perhaps the two most popular glacier spots are Hubbard Glacier and Glacier Bay National Park. You should know the differences before cruising those itineraries. There are others too, like the Dawes Glacier or Sawyer Glacier. And again, we've cruised itineraries that have visited many of these popular viewing spots. And if you're a first-time cruiser to Alaska, we highly suggest you pick a traditional 7-day round-trip cruise that visits Glacier Bay National Park. While you can't go wrong with other glacier viewing opportunities, Glacier Bay affords the opportunity to see multiple glaciers over the course of several hours. And believe us, it took us several Alaska cruises before we got to experience this firsthand, and now it's one of our favorite destinations in the region. Along with the amazing views, there's also an educational component that involves park rangers coming on board the cruise ship to provide lectures and narration. It's important to note that not all cruise lines have permits to sail in Glacier Bay National Park. That's why reviewing itineraries becomes so crucial during the early stages of planning your Alaska cruise. Reviewing the itinerary, scenic sailing options, and ports of call isn't the only thing you need to pay attention to when comparing cruises. Not all 7-day Alaska cruise itineraries are created equal, even when they visit the same ports. The amount of time your ship spends in each destination can vary dramatically between cruise lines, ships, and specific sailings, significantly impacting your experience. For example, one cruise might offer 12 hours in Juneau, giving you ample time for a morning whale watching excursion and afternoon exploration of downtown. But another cruise visiting the same port might only provide 6 hours, and it might be later in the day, say from noon to 6 or even 4 to 10. So while it's true that most Alaska itineraries include some combination of Juneau, Ketchikan, Skagway, many also visit Icy Strait Point, Sitka, among others, the time spent in each port will vary. When comparing itineraries, don't just look at which ports are listed, check the actual arrival and departure times. We've already touched on a few of the decisions that you need to make that will directly impact your Alaska cruise budget, such as your departure port or whether you do a round trip or one-way cruise. There are other factors too that we'll touch on later in this video, but let's get real for a moment and talk about Alaska cruise costs and budgets. It's actually one of the most important things you need to know because Alaska cruises, well, they're not cheap. They're actually considerably more expensive than comparable Caribbean cruises, and honestly often can be double the price for similar ships, cabin categories, and cruise length. Alaska cruise costs fluctuate considerably though, depending on a few factors. The cruise line and specific ship you choose, significantly impacts your pricing, with luxury lines and newer vessels commanding premium rates. More significantly, timing dramatically affects price too, which we'll talk about in a minute. Beyond the base fare, you also need to factor in the additional costs for shore excursions. Budget-friendly tours start at $100 per person, but signature experiences, like those helicopter glacier landings, can be $500 plus per person. So excursions alone can add thousands of dollars to your total cruise costs, but we will share some insider tips to help keep those costs in check. And then there are other expenses like drink packages, specialty dining, Wi-Fi, and gratuities, as well as airfare. So we recommend cruisers budget between $2,500 to up to $5,000 per person for a complete Alaska cruise experience, including all the extras. That means it's not unreasonable for a family of 4 to spend between $10,000 to $20,000 for a week-long Alaska cruise when everything is factored in. One way to ensure you're getting the best deal on your Alaska cruise is to work with a certified cruise planner. Now, Heidi and I are not travel agents. That's why we partner with MEI Travel. They are Alaska cruise experts. We love working with our personal cruise consultant, Blair, who navigates all the options to find the ideal cruise line, ship, and itinerary by always making sure we get the best available price and helps us take advantage of any promotions or inclusions. And there's never a fee to book. So it's basically like getting free cruise planning advice. So scan the QR code on screen right now or click our exclusive link down in the description. Start planning your Alaska adventure. And in fact, you can't start planning your Alaska cruise too early. Most major cruise lines release itineraries up to 2 years in advance. And we recommend booking your Alaska cruise 8 to 12 months ahead of your desired sailing date. The biggest reason to book early is to secure the best price. As specific sailings begin to fill up, prices increase. Popular room categories and cabin locations also book up quickly as well. Midship balcony cabins, the most desirable category for Alaska, often sell out 6 months before departure on popular ships and sailings. By booking early, you'll have the greatest selection of cabin choices and can select your preferred dining times, whether that's early or late seating or flexible dining. Additionally, early booking provides more time to pay off your cruise. It also gives you plenty of time to research the ports, plan your packing, and build anticipation for that bucket list trip. Alaska's cruise season runs from late April or early May through the end of September, sometimes into early October. But when you choose a cruise, it impacts 4 major things: the price, the crowds, the weather, and wildlife viewings. Historically, the cheapest time to cruise is during the beginning and the end of the season, what is known as shoulder season. We've sailed several times during these months and easily have saved 20 to 30%, not more, compared to peak summer rates. Those savings apply to both May and September sailings. You'll also see significantly fewer crowds. In July, ports like Juneau may have 5 or 6 large ships in port all at once. In May or September, that number might drop down to 2 or 3. So that's one of the benefits of sailing during shoulder season. But there are trade-offs. Weather can be more unpredictable. Temperatures are cooler, rain can be more frequent, and some seasonal excursions, especially certain glacier hikes or remote bear tours, may not operate early or late in the season. Some shops and restaurants in port towns may also have limited hours, or not open yet, or have already closed for the season. Wildlife patterns, they shift. You'll still see bald eagles and marine life, but peak humpback whale activity tends to be in the summer, and bear viewing improves during peak salmon runs in midsummer. So shoulder season is fantastic for value and fewer crowds, but you're trading some predictability. If you want the best weather, mid-season is typically your safest bet. We've sailed in July and experienced temperatures in the 70s, warm enough to use the outdoor pools and hot tubs. Midsummer also brings the most daylight, up to 18 to 20 hours around the solstice. That extended daylight means more time ashore, better scenic cruising, and even wildlife sightings later into the evening. Outdoor excursions like kayaking and glacier hikes are more comfortable in these conditions, and tours are less likely to be canceled due to weather. Wildlife viewing also peaks during this window, with a greater likelihood of seeing humpback whales and bears. And while bald eagles are visible all season long, August offers chances to see young eagles learning to fly. But with peak conditions comes peak demand. July and early August are consistently the most expensive sailings of the year. They also coincide with school vacations, meaning more families and more ships in port. But there is one unique advantage to late season cruising. By September, the days grow noticeably shorter. Sunset happens earlier, which creates darker skies, and that opens up the possibility of seeing northern lights. Now, Southeast Alaska can be cloudy, so sightings are never guaranteed. But you'll increase your odds if your itinerary travels further north, or if you extend your trip into Alaska's interior. Places like Anchorage or Fairbanks offer much better aurora viewing conditions. But September is the only standard cruise season month where this becomes a real possibility. So just like there's no one single best cruise line in Alaska, there's also no single best time to go to Alaska. If you want lower prices and fewer crowds, then the shoulder season. But if you want the best weather and peak wildlife, the midsummer. Every month offers something different. The key is understanding the trade-offs before you book. Between airfare, cruise fare, and excursions, this isn't a small trip. So let's talk about how to protect that investment and where you can optimize it without overspending. First, and this is critical, fly in at least one day early. We recommend this for any cruise, but for Alaska, it's even more important. Many travelers are flying long distances, often with connections. That creates multiple opportunities for delays, and weather-related disruptions are common in the Pacific Northwest, especially fog delays in Seattle and Vancouver. If your flight is delayed and you miss your ship, the cruise line will not wait for you, and they will not refund you. That's thousands of dollars gone. Booking a pre-cruise hotel night eliminates that stress entirely, and there's another benefit. Seattle and Vancouver are fantastic cities worth exploring. Seattle offers Pike Place Market, the Space Needle, and a beautiful waterfront. Vancouver features Stanley Park, Granville Island, and incredible harbor views. Many cruisers say their pre-cruise day becomes one of the highlights of the entire trip. Even if you're sailing a round trip from Seattle and technically don't need a passport as a US citizen, as we mentioned earlier, we strongly recommend you bring one. Here's why. If you miss the ship due to a flight delay and need to fly to the next port, you may have to enter Canada. If you have a medical emergency and need to fly home unexpectedly from Vancouver or another Canadian airport, you'll need a passport. And even some popular shore excursions like Skagway's White Pass and Yukon Route Railway cross into Canada and require a passport to participate. So even if it's not legally required for boarding your cruise, traveling without a passport limits your options in unexpected situations. For a trip of this size and cost, it's not worth the risks. Now let's talk about protection. Alaska cruises are expensive. Between airfare, excursions, cruise fare, travel insurance isn't optional. Alaska's remote location and unpredictable weather create real risks. Fog delays in Seattle, Vancouver, or Anchorage could cause you to miss your ship. Without insurance, that's thousands of dollars lost. Medical evacuations from remote Alaska ports can cost tens of thousands of dollars. Insurance can also cover trip interruption, lost luggage with essential medications, missed excursions due to delays, and in some cases, cancel for any reason coverage. Cruise lines offer policies, but it's worth comparing third-party providers like Allianz or Travel Guard to find the best coverage for your needs. Many cruise lines offer what's called a guaranteed cabin rate. Instead of selecting a specific cabin number, you choose a cabin category, interior, ocean view, or balcony at a reduced price, often 15 to 30% less than picking a specific room. The cruise line assigns your cabin location later, sometimes weeks before sailing, sometimes just days before. For flexible cruisers, this can be an excellent value. You're guaranteed at least the category you paid for, and occasionally you may even receive a better location or an upgrade if the ship is filling up. But this option isn't for everyone. If you want a midship location to minimize motion, a higher deck for better views, or cabins close together when traveling with family, you'll likely want to choose your exact stateroom. And if you're prone to motion sickness, remember that guaranteed cabins could place you forward or aft, where movement is more noticeable. So this really comes down to flexibility versus control. Many cruise lines offer bundled upgrade packages, such as Princess Plus, Holland America's Have It All, Celebrities All Included, or Norwegian's Free at Sea. These bundles combine popular add-ons like beverage packages, Wi-Fi, specialty dining credits, prepaid gratuities, and sometimes shore excursion credits. For some travelers, these packages provide excellent value and make the cruise feel more all-inclusive. You can enjoy a cocktail while glacier viewing, use Wi-Fi to share photos, or try specialty dining without worrying about every extra charge. But do the math. If you don't drink alcohol rarely use Wi-Fi, and prefer the main dining room, the package may not be worth it. This is where running the numbers for your specific travel style is important. And finally, once you've decided on packages or add-ons, book them before boarding. Pre-cruise pricing is almost always cheaper than onboard pricing. This applies to beverage packages, specialty dining, Wi-Fi, spa treatments, and even dining reservations. Popular specialty restaurants fill up quickly, especially prime dinner times between 6:30 and 7:30 p.m. Booking early ensures you get the times and experiences you actually want, instead of settling for what's left once you're on board. These aren't flashy decisions, but together they can save you hundreds, and more importantly, they reduce stress once your cruise actually begins. Now, if you're starting to think, wow, this is a lot just for booking one cruise, and you're not wrong. That's exactly why we create our free Ultimate Cruise Planning Guide just updated for 2026. It walks you step by step through every decision you need to make in the right order, so you can plan with confidence instead of feeling overwhelmed. It also includes printable checklists, budgeting guides, and cruise packing lists to help you stay one step ahead of everyone else on board. So scan the QR code on screen or click the link in the description and we'll send you your completely free copy today. Is a balcony really worth it in Alaska? This is one of the most debated questions when booking an Alaska cruise. Interior cabins are cheaper. Ocean view cabins give you natural light, but balcony cabins often cost several hundred, sometimes over $1,000 more. So is it actually worth it? In Alaska, the scenery is the star of the show. You're not cruising to use water slides or sit by the pool. You're cruising for glaciers, fjords, waterfalls, wildlife, and mountains that stretch in every direction. Having a private balcony gives you access to that scenery whenever you want it. On glacier days, ships often begin scenic cruising early in the morning, sometimes 6 a.m. or earlier. With a balcony, you can step outside in your pajamas with a cup of coffee and experience it without fighting for space on crowded public decks. Wildlife sightings are unpredictable. Whales surface without warning. Eagles soar past unexpectedly. Having your own outdoor space means you don't miss those quiet, spontaneous moments. A balcony also gives you flexibility in Alaska's changing weather. If it's chilly, you can step inside for warmth and return outside easily. If it's raining lightly, you still have a covered space to enjoy the views. Now, is it essential? No. Public decks and observation lounges still provide excellent views, but for a destination where the scenery is constant and evolving, a balcony enhances the experience in a way that's hard to replicate. For many travelers, this is one upgrade that truly pays off in Alaska. Alaska cruises have distinctly different atmospheres than Caribbean or Mediterranean sailings, and understanding this shift will help you maximize your experience. You'll find passengers spending more time outdoor decks with binoculars and cameras than lounging by the pool. Early morning wake-up calls at 6 a.m. for glacier viewing are common, and you'll see more people at these scenic cruising sessions than at the evening shows and entertainment. The dress code tends to be more casual overall too. While some cruise lines still offer formal nights, they're considerably more relaxed in Alaska. Embrace a different pace, prioritize experiences over amenities, and you'll discover why so many cruisers like ourselves keep returning to Alaska year after year. So on an Alaska cruise, consider going to bed earlier than usual, setting an early morning alarm. Now combine that with the fact that during peak summer, daylight can stretch 18 to 20 hours. In late June, sunset can happen close to 10 p.m. You may find yourself still on deck at night because it simply doesn't feel like bedtime. The long days are magical, but they can also be exhausting, which brings us to something people don't talk about enough. Build and rest. Alaska cruises are surprisingly tiring. You'll have early port arrivals, full excursion days, scenic cruising, enrichment talks, late sunsets. You're constantly stimulated. If you try to do everything without pacing yourself, you'll feel it by day 4. Take a midday nap on sea days. Go back to your cabin and recharge after a long excursion. Don't feel like you have to attend every show or activity. You'll enjoy the trip more if you manage your energy intentionally. Here's a small tip that makes a big difference. Learn a few nautical terms before you sail. Port means left, starboard means right. Because when an announcement says, "Whales spotted on the starboard side," you don't want to hesitate. That moment may last seconds. One of the most underrated parts of an Alaska cruise is the onboard enrichment. These aren't generic cruise talks. You'll often find naturalists and guest speakers presenting on glacier formation, wildlife migration patterns, Alaska Native culture, gold rush history. When sailing through Glacier Bay, park rangers board the ship and provide live narration throughout the day, pointing out specific glaciers, wildlife, and geological features in real time. Princess and Holland America, in particular, tend to lean heavily into Alaska-focused programming, given their long history in the region. These sessions add context to what you're seeing outside. They turn beautiful scenery into meaningful understanding. Check your daily program and make time for at least a few of them. Finally, let's talk about internet. While cruise Wi-Fi has improved dramatically, especially with Starlink, Alaska's mountainous terrain and remote geography can still impact signal quality. And because most Alaska ports are within the United States, your regular cell phone plan may work while docked. You may not need the highest tier internet package for this sailing, especially if you plan to be off the ship most of the day. It's worth evaluating before automatically upgrading. If you do use your cell phone while docked in port, it's critical to put your phone back into airplane mode once the ship sets sail. Otherwise, you may return home to a shocking bill of roaming charges. If there's one place where Alaska cruises can either become unforgettable or unexpectedly expensive, it's shore excursions. This is where Alaska becomes real. Glaciers, wildlife, small boats, helicopters, remote wilderness, and it's also where costs can escalate quickly. Signature experiences like helicopter glacier landings, dog sledding on a snowfield, or bear viewing by float plane can exceed $500 per person, sometimes more. You don't need to book premium excursions in every port. In fact, we recommend a balanced approach. Choose one or two bucket list experiences that matter most to you, then mix in self-guided exploration or more affordable tours in other ports. Because Alaska ports are different from many tropical destinations. Places like Juneau, Skagway, and Ketchikan are absolutely worth exploring on foot. You can walk historic downtowns, try local seafood, visit museums, or just soak in the scenery without spending hundreds of dollars. So you frankly don't need organized tours at every port of call, but you should definitely get off the ship at every destination. Unlike Caribbean cruises, where there are ship days can be just as enjoyable as port days, Alaska cruising is about the destination. Each port offers unique character, history, and experiences you simply cannot get staying on the ship. If nothing else, at the different ports of call, you need to sample a local cuisine. Wild-caught salmon, massive Alaska crab legs, fresh halibut, and Dungeness crab are all local specialties that taste noticeably better when sourced directly from Alaska and prepared by local chefs. Beyond seafood, sample other Alaska favorites like locally brewed craft beers and wild berry desserts made with blueberries, salmon berries, huckleberries, harvested from surrounding forests. With a mix of a couple big ticket excursions, some self-exploration, and maybe some smaller tours, we suggest you budget at least $100 to $150 per person per port for excursions. So with 3 to 4 ports on a typical 7-day cruise, don't be surprised if your family spends $1,200 to $2,400 plus on excursions alone. And that's with moderate spending. And while booking shore excursions directly through your cruise line is convenient, you can often save 20 to 40% by booking the same tours through third-party providers or local operators. We love working with Shore Excursions Group, which offers many of the same tours as the cruise line at significant lower prices. In fact, on our last Alaska cruise, the highlight of our trip was the Bering Sea Fisherman Tour in Ketchikan, which we booked with Shore Excursions Group, and it was unforgettable. And the best part, you don't have to worry about anything. Shore Excursions Group provides a return-to-ship guarantee, meaning they ensure you get back to the ship on time, addressing one of the many concerns about independent bookings. Plus, their online platform is super easy to navigate. Just put in your cruise ship, date, and itinerary. Shore Excursion Group will show you all the tours for each port of call, so scan the QR code on screen or use our exclusive link to save on your Alaska cruise shore excursions. Regardless of who you book with, for those high-demand excursions, make sure to book early. Many travelers treat Alaska as a once-in-a-lifetime trip, which means the most popular tours sell out months in advance. The good news is, most cruise lines allow cancellations up to 48 hours before sailing, so booking early usually carries very little risk. Alaska weather is unpredictable. Fog and wind can cancel helicopter tours, or flight seeing excursions with a little notice. We've had weather cancel bucket list experiences before. Have a plan B in each port so you're not scrambling if something gets canceled. While cameras on smartphones have come a long way over the years, they simply won't do the scenery and wildlife in Alaska any justice. So if you want great photos to last a lifetime, we strongly recommend bringing a camera with a zoom lens. If you don't own one, you can rent quality equipment relatively inexpensively from services like lensrental.com or borrowlenses.com. We've rented zoom lenses in the past, and we were glad we did. Beyond traditional cameras, you might want to consider renting or bringing other specialized equipment. Action cameras like GoPros are perfect for excursions when you need hands-free recording. There's also 360-degree cameras that capture immersive panoramic footage that really showcases Alaska's vast landscapes. You should also consider purchasing or renting a decent pair of binoculars. They don't have to be expensive, but binoculars are absolutely crucial when scouting for wildlife. Packing for an Alaska cruise, what you actually need and what you don't. Packing for Alaska is completely different than packing for a tropical cruise, and this is one area where people either overpack dramatically or pack the wrong things entirely. The single most important packing strategy for Alaska is simple: layering. Temperatures can fluctuate 25 to 30 degrees in a single day. You might wake up to 35 to 40 degrees during early morning glacier viewing, warm into the mid-60s in port, and cool down again once the sun drops. One heavy jacket won't solve that. Instead, think in layers: a lightweight base layer, a mid-layer like fleece or a sweater, a packable insulated jacket, and most importantly, a waterproof outer layer. Rain gear is not optional in Alaska. It will rain at some point during your cruise. The only question is when. Bring a waterproof jacket with a hood, not just water resistant, and waterproof shoes or boots. You'll be walking on wet docks, muddy trails, and rain-soaked streets in ports like Ketchikan. If you're planning active excursions like hiking or kayaking, lightweight waterproof pants can also be worth it. Don't forget the unexpected essentials. There are a few items people don't think about: sunscreen and polarized sunglasses. Even on cool days, UV exposure is real, especially with snow, ice, and glaciers reflecting sunlight. You can absolutely get sunburned in Alaska. A small backpack or day bag is essential for port days. You'll constantly be adding and removing layers as temperatures shift. And surprisingly, bring your bathing suit. Hot tubs on Alaska cruises are incredibly popular. There's something unforgettable about soaking in warm water while watching snow-capped mountains glide by. Now here's where most people go wrong. They pack like they're going on a winter expedition. You don't need a heavy parka, you don't need snow boots unless you're specifically doing an excursion that requires them, and many tours provide gear. Ships are warm inside. You'll still want comfortable indoor outfits for dining, shows, and lounging. Focus on versatile pieces that mix and match. If you're unsure, remember, self-service laundry is available on many ships. Packing smart is more important than packing heavy. Here are two simple items that make a big difference on board. First, magnetic hooks. Cruise cabin walls are metal. Strong magnetic hooks allow you to hang wet jackets, backpacks, hats, and gear without cluttering your limited closet space. Second, an over-the-door shoe organizer. Not for shoes. Use it to store sunscreen, gloves, charging cables, medications, sunglasses, and small accessories. It keeps your cabin organized and prevents surfaces from becoming chaotic. These are small details, but they dramatically improve your comfort for a week. Alaska packing isn't about preparing for extreme cold. It's about preparing for variability. Cool mornings, mild afternoons, rain showers, wind on deck, warm indoor spaces. If you plan for flexibility, you'll be comfortable in every scenario, and when you're comfortable, you'll enjoy the experience far more. Now that you know everything we wish we knew before our Alaska cruise, it's time to find you the perfect Alaska trip. Well, lucky for you, right here on YouTube, we have our look at the best Alaska cruises. In that video, we review the different ships and itineraries, so regardless of your travel party, we'll help you find the best Alaska cruise. That way, your trip is smooth sailing.